Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive explainer right here on NFL Nexus. I am so pumped you're joining us today. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and please drop a comment down below on what you think as we go through this. I really want to hear your takes. Also, you can help support the channel by purchasing our brand new football coloring books. They are absolutely perfect for children, grandchildren, and honestly, adults as well who just want to unwind. You can access those right now through the link down in the description, or just scan the QR code you'll see popping up. All right, let's get into it. Today, we are tackling a massive topic that has had the entire football world buzzing literally since the final name was called at the podium. We're looking at the Chicago Bears 2026 NFL Draft. Now, you know and I know there has been absolutely no shortage of controversy and debates surrounding what General Manager Ryan Poles and head coach Ben Johnson actually decided to do over those 3 critical days. I mean, fans are split, analysts are arguing online, and the tension between these hypothetical what-if scenarios and the grounded grassroots reality of training camp is just palpable right now. So today, we're going to explore both sides of that coin. We'll rebuild this draft piece by piece based on expert analysis, and then we're going to step right into Hallis Hall to look at the massive real-world challenge currently facing this actual rookie class. Let's do this! Okay, so here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to start by rethinking the 2026 draft entirely. Then we'll look at addressing the edge rush, exploring some mid-round defensive swings, breaking down the center position strategy, finding those late-round value picks, and finally diving into the harsh reality of a rookie's challenge. Section 1, rethinking the 2026 draft and really analyzing those initial choices. To really understand the alternative we're proposing today, we first have to understand the frustration from the fans, right? When Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson submitted those draft cards, the immediate reaction was, well, let's just say it was highly polarized. The decisions made on draft weekend weren't universally panned, but they absolutely left some glaring questions about team building, resource allocation, and overall timeline management. Look, there's always an inherent controversy when a front office diverges so sharply from the consensus media boards. So, breaking down the major gripes with the actual draft. First and foremost, and this is a big one, they completely failed to come away with an edge rusher early. Now, let's get incredibly granular on why that matters so much. For a defense that relies heavily on four-man pressure, ignoring the perimeter pass rush in the premium rounds mathematically plummets your expected pass rush win rate. It's just a fact. When you only have one true threat off the edge, what happens? Opposing offensive lines can seamlessly slide their protections, they double-team your star, and they effectively neutralize the entire front four without even needing to sacrifice an eligible receiver to stay in and block. It's a nightmare. Secondly, people were furious that they waited all the way until the 6th round to address the interior of the defensive line. And finally, there's this lingering accusation that Chicago reached for specific picks based entirely on immediate roster needs, rather than taking the best player available, basically sacrificing long-term value just to plug a short-term hole. These are the specific pain points we are going to fix in our hypothetical redraft today. Moving into Section 2, addressing the edge rush and fixing that pass rush. So, if the biggest criticism is ignoring the defensive perimeter, then the most obvious correction is prioritizing it immediately when the Bears go on the clock in the first round. We really need to look at how draft capital can be utilized to fill the most glaring hole on this roster without sacrificing elite talent. Let's focus on the 25th overall pick. In reality, the Bears selected safety Dylan Thieneman. Now, let me be incredibly clear right off the bat. Thieneman is a fantastic prospect. Honestly, a lot of folks would have absolutely no issue with Chicago making that pick again. He is going to have a great career. But in our redraft, we are taking edge rusher TJ Parker out of Clemson. Why? Because Parker went 34th overall to the Buffalo Bills in reality. That means the Bears could have actually traded back, acquired more draft capital, and still landed him. Parker fills an urgent premium positional need, instead of simply avoiding the position entirely. Furthermore, and this is crucial, Parker fits the Dennis Allen prototype perfectly. You might be wondering, what exactly is that prototype? Well, it means Parker possesses arm length exceeding 34 inches, he carries a really dense 265-pound frame, and he exhibits elite, heavy-handed punch mechanics at the point of attack. He utilizes this devastating long arm technique that literally keeps offensive tackles completely off his pads. And guys, that is an absolute technical requisite for the edge setters in this specific defensive scheme. And this completely illustrates exactly why Parker is the pick. TJ Parker's collegiate tape proved he is an elite run defender and a high-level pass rusher. Now contrast that with the Bears' 2025 defensive unit, which struggled significantly in both run defense and rushing the passer. See the connection? TJ Parker is a singular player who checks 2 massive, critical boxes for Chicago all by himself. By bringing him in, you aren't just getting a situational pass rusher who gets washed out on early running downs, no way. You are getting a foundational, three-down defensive piece that directly answers the very specific statistical shortcomings that plagued this team all of last season. It's a no-brainer. All right, Section 3, mid-round defensive swings. This is where we find that hidden value. Let's move down the board and see how this builds, because as any football fan knows, the second and third rounds of the NFL draft are where championships are truly built. This is where your draft capital is so crucial for building starting depth and finding players with elite traits who maybe slip through the cracks for one reason or another. This is where our alternate reality really starts to take shape. At pick 57 in the second round, the Bears actually took center Logan Jones. We are swapping that for Toledo safety Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. McNeil-Warren was considered a first-round prospect by many analysts and saw a massive slide, actually going one pick after Jones in real life. While he might not be Dylan Thieneman, he is a top-notch cover guy and a ferocious run defender who will absolutely be a very good NFL starter. Now, why are we swapping out tight end Sam Roosh for Texas A&M defensive tackle Albert Regis at pick 69? Simple, because we finally need to address the interior defensive line with a true anchor. And then at pick 89, instead of taking a punter, we take a massive upside swing on Tennessee cornerback Jer'Od McCoy. Yes, okay, McCoy has a major knee issue that caused him to fall to the Raiders at the top of the fourth round. We all know about the medicals. But listen, without that knee concern, his hip fluidity and incredible read and react burst made him arguably the #1 cornerback in this entire draft class. I mean it. Taking someone with that kind of elite potential, especially given Chicago's massive question mark at one of their boundary spots, is the exact type of calculated risk you want to be taking in the third round. I want to isolate this specific number for just a moment. 82.6. This is defensive tackle Albert Regis's impressive run defense grade from the 2025 season. When you're evaluating the third round, finding a difference maker against the run is absolutely paramount. Now look, Regis is a bit undersized for his position, weighing in at about 295 pounds. But here is the critical detail you have to understand. That lack of size simply didn't show up on his tape at all. He plays with immense natural leverage. You know the saying, low man wins? He consistently dips his shoulder below the opposing guard's center of gravity and just explodes upward to completely disrupt those rushing lanes. Plus, his frame definitely has the capacity to add more weight at the pro level. That elite 82.6 grade absolutely justifies grabbing him right here to anchor the defensive front. Section 4, the center position strategy. It's all about timing the pick. Now we're getting into it. This is arguably the most pivotal debate of the entire Bears draft. It is not a question of if the Bears needed a center. We all know they did. But rather when is the exact right time to draft one to maximize value without reaching. Here is how we answer that question. In the actual draft, Chicago reached for Logan Jones in the second round at pick 57. In our redraft, we wait until the middle rounds, which, by the way, many draft experts believe is the absolute sweet spot for finding interior linemen. At pick 124 in the fourth round, instead of taking wide receiver Xavier Thomas, we select Connor Lew out of Auburn. The Bears wanted an athletic center, right? And while Logan Jones certainly fits that profile, so does Connor Lew. The difference is the massive asset value you gain by waiting until the fourth round to secure that exact same required athletic profile. It's just smart business. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding the timeline. Connor Lew fits the exact athletic profile the Bears require. His lateral agility on outside zone runs and his ability to quickly climb to the second level to engage linebackers are honestly elite traits for the position. He fell to the fourth round primarily because of a torn ACL he suffered in 2025, but Lew has publicly stated he is well ahead of schedule on his rehab. And because Chicago went out and traded for veteran Garrett Bradbury and has him under contract, they absolutely do not need a rookie center to step in and start on day one. This makes Lew the perfect draft and stash candidate. The rookie has ample time to get his knee 100% right, sit back and learn this complex system from the sidelines, and eventually take over. This gives Chicago incredible long-term value for a fourth-round pick. Section 5, late round value picks. Finding those high upside additions. When you get down to the fifth and sixth rounds, the entire goal of a front office shifts dramatically. You are no longer looking for plug-and-play starters at this point. You're searching for high-upside lottery tickets, special teams contributors, and developmental traits. Let's optimize these final picks. At pick 166 in the fifth round, the Bears took linebacker Keyshawn Elliott. We are swapping in Cincinnati wide receiver Cyrus Allen. Now, Allen might not be quite as fast as fourth-rounder Xavier Thomas, but he still brings legitimate 4.4 speed to be a deep threat, plus he has crucial return experience. And you might be asking, why is 4.4 speed specifically so valuable right here? Because under the NFL's new dynamic kickoff rules, having a returner with elite linear acceleration to exploit suddenly opening lateral seams is absolutely critical. He factors into special teams immediately. Then, at pick 215 in the sixth round, instead of taking defensive lineman Jordan Vandenberg, we are grabbing LSU linebacker Harold Perkins Jr. Perkins actually went just 2 picks later to the Falcons in real life, and getting him the 6th round, it is a monumental steal based on pure talent and upside alone. Look at this number for a second. 147. That is the massive total tackle count Harold Perkins Jr. racked up in just his first 2 years at LSU. I mean, wow. Along with 26 tackles for loss and 13 sacks in that exact same span. He was arguably one of the most destructive elite defensive forces in all college football. His ceiling is undeniably off the charts elite. Literally the only reason a player with this kind of ridiculous resume falls all the way to the 215th pick in the draft is injury, specifically the torn ACL he suffered. Now, when you evaluate a player returning from a major knee injury, you naturally expect a drop in production. It is completely normal. And yeah, Perkins didn't look entirely like his old explosive self in 2025, but let's analyze his stats during this so-called down year while he was rehabbing. 56 total tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. Think about that. Even at less than 100%, relying heavily on his football IQ and his processing speed rather than his sheer physical burst, he still remained highly productive on the field. Betting on a player's upside in his second year back from a serious knee injury, especially when that player is Harold Perkins Jr., makes him the ultimate low-risk, astronomical reward selection in the 6th round. You make that pick every single time. Now, what's really interesting to think about here is a much bigger question. We can sit here and debate the theoretical merits of drafting Connor Lew in the 4th round versus Logan Jones in the 2nd round all day long. But does the drafted center's name actually matter in Ben Johnson's offense? Really think about it. It's time to step out of the fantasy GM war room and step onto the real grass at Halas Hall. Because the reality of what this rookie faces is far more daunting than where he was selected on a draft board. Section 6. Reality. A rookie's challenge. Facing the real NFL. So, the Bears' offensive line was supposed to be a solidified strength for a long time, right? Especially after GM Ryan Poles brought in 4 starters during the 2025 offseason to pair with right tackle Darnell Wright. But as we know, the NFL is an unforgiving league, and plans rarely survive contact with the actual season. Here is the factual context of the absolute 5-alarm emergency Ryan Poles was staring down heading into this draft. During the wildcard round against the Green Bay Packers, starting left tackle Ozzie Trapilo suffered a significant injury that could realistically sideline him for most of the upcoming season. If that wasn't bad enough, starting center Drew Dalman threw the entire organization for a massive loop by unexpectedly announcing his retirement. Just out of nowhere, overnight, a position of total strength became an absolute crisis. The front office's immediate panic button response was trading for veteran center Garrett Bradbury to essentially stop the bleeding, and then drafting rookie Logan Jones in the 2nd round as the center of the future. I really want you to listen to this quote from Logan Jones during a recent news conference. He said, "After talking to the coaches, it feels like there's a little bit more on the center's plate here. Being a center, you have to be able to go up there, make a call, and be confident. Have the guys around you trust you. That's something you have to earn. It's like being a freshman again. You have to come in and earn the trust of everybody." When you read those words and really let them sink in, it completely humanizes the extremely clinical, numbers-driven draft discussion we literally just had. It reveals the immense, crushing mental vulnerability and the massive leap required to transition from a college prospect to an NFL rookie who is suddenly tasked with commanding an entire offensive line. It's a whole different world. And the reason Jones feels like a freshman again isn't just because he's a rookie. It's specifically because of the system he was drafted into. Head coach Ben Johnson's offensive scheme is notoriously unbelievably complex. It places exceptionally high demands and intricate terminology responsibilities squarely onto the shoulders of the center. In this specific offense, the center is the absolute quarterback of the offensive line. But what does that actually entail on a granular play-by-play level? Well, it means processing the defensive front geometry on the fly. It means identifying the true Mike linebacker. And by the way, that isn't just pointing at the guy standing in the middle of the field. It means mathematically identifying the central pivot point of the defense's pressure package so that your guards and tackles know exactly which direction to execute their sliding protection. The center must make these specific protection calls and communicate complex adjustments with absolute confidence in literally split seconds before the ball is snapped. This incredible level of required mental processing validates exactly why the Bears brought in a seasoned veteran like Garrett Bradbury to start, giving Jones the crucial, vital time he needs to learn the system during OTAs and training camp without being thrown to the wolves. So we leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on today. Whether you draft Logan Jones in the 2nd round or a player like Connor Lew in the 4th, the ultimate opponent isn't the draft board, it's the playbook. Can any rookie center truly learn to command the immense complexities of Ben Johnson's offense by week 1? Or is the learning curve at the professional level simply too steep to overcome without veteran experience? Think about the sheer volume of mental processing required every single down. It really forces us to ask if demanding complete command from a rookie is just setting them up for failure. That is the fascinating reality unfolding at Haylett Hall right now. Thank you so much for joining this deep dive explainer on NFL Nexus. Please don't forget to subscribe, drop a like, and leave your thoughts in the comments. And remember to keep questioning not just who gets drafted, but the incredibly complex situations they're drafted right into. We'll see you in the next one.